I have to look over the computer to see. Somebody said to me, it's a big transition, especially for the person who's the speaker, to go from the people who have been teachers, and is because there's a whole bunch of people here that usually I'm just like, and now there's anyway. I'm learning. Thank you for being patient, and I took my mask off because I'm away from all of you, so it's okay. Is that okay with everybody?
Yeah.
Okay. And Elizabeth is here from San Francisco. Wow. Okay. Request, if any of you in that little box, although you don't know you're in a little box, you're at home, and you're coming to the Jukai later for the ceremony, we could use some more zafus and zabutons. So if you're at home and you're coming to the ceremony at 3 o'clock, if you have extra zafus or zabutons at home, please bring them with you. That will help. We're one more thing we're figuring out. What is freedom? What is freedom? May all beings be happy. May all beings be free. Makes me happy just to say it. Sort of brings tears. Well, especially being here with everybody and moving towards a Bodhisattva precept ceremony. So what does this day of sitting and what do these precepts, what does all this have to do with anything? Why we got born, why we're going to die? What are the precepts? How do we live them? Change, everything's changing. The time changed. My goodness, the time changed. I'm a little more grounded right now, but my body kept telling me that the light outside wasn't aligning with my experience of what I thought the time was. It was very disorienting. It probably will be again for a few days. Everything's impermanent. There's beginnings and endings and seasons and years, birth and death. What's a person to do? I thought, oh, I know why I thought this. Bruce and I went down to the Museum of Asian Art, and they have an exhibit there. I think, is it called Continuum? Anyway, it's Japanese computer-generated images on the floors and the walls and the ceilings, and you walk in and there's no fixed point. It's completely, everything is boundless and interactive, and there's some walls that you touch and it's completely responsive. It's like you can run your hand through a school of fish and the fish part, and you can put your hand on a flower and the flower starts dissolving and dying in front of you. It was very disorienting at first, and I thought, this is why we human beings fix ourselves in linear time and space, because it's too overwhelming. I mean, to really fully experience impermanence and change and alive is, I just think our little wiring it starts overloading. The great thing is I could see the grown-ups in one of the rooms in particular were like backed against the wall. You know, it's like we needed some place to like ground. The kids were they were just playing in it. Ellis is laughing like little Misha's like, they just didn't have any trouble adjusting at all. And then what I found was, at first I was overwhelmed, and not knowing where the fixed point was and that insight. And then after a while, I could feel that my brain started getting used to it. And when I started getting used to it, like it's like it somehow was starting to make sense out of it, or some way that I could feel my feet and where the mirrors were and I could feel my brain start to get a little bit bored. It's like, oh, okay, got this. What's next? It's kind of a fascinating exercise on so many levels. I'd recommend it. It's very beautiful. So what's the appropriate response? Impermanence means sickness, aging, death, joy, excitement, curiosity, boredom. What do I do when I go from a beautiful exhibit out into the streets and there's homeless people on the streets? Somebody told me she lives in San Francisco and she's lived in the same place for 20 years. And she walked outside her door the other day and someone came up and punched her in the face. You know, it's just somebody disoriented. I mean, we can only presume there's a lot of people that you take people's homes away, you take their families, you take the ground away. You don't know who you are anymore. And then the question is what's the appropriate response? Is how does she keep herself safe? How does she keep that person safe? There's no easy answers here. So we sit down. We sit down with these huge, unanswerable questions that won't go away. We sit down with and for the whole world because we love and we care and we can't put it down. As our Shuso has said, going straight through a narrow mountain pass of 49 curves. I'd never heard that before. I really like that. It's very visceral. So what curve are you on right now? We're 16-foot tall golden Buddhas. You are each a 16-foot tall golden Buddha. And so is the confused person who came up and punched her in the face. And so is the person who got punched. And so are the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas who are taking their vows today, and those who have been vowing across time and space forever, like all of us. We're all Buddhas. Buddhas see through the eyes of goodness. I see the Buddha in you. I see the Buddha in you. I know the Buddha in me. And I also know I'm a little confused. Sometimes I'm more than a little confused. I don't know about the rest of you. We're human beings, falling down and getting up, falling down and getting up, and vowing not to hurt people and to always act with other people in mind. And then, my goodness, how did we forget? Didn't even see that one coming. So then we learn more forgiveness and more gentleness and more kindness and compassion towards ourselves and each other. It doesn't happen in a vacuum, you know. It happens because we rub up against each other. It happens because we come together in Sangha and can't believe that there's somebody sitting next to us who chose to spend the whole day, either in their homes or here, meditating all day. It's like, that's remarkable in this crazy world, just to stop and sit down. Because we do know that our happiness is completely interdependent and interconnected with everybody else. I can't really be happy until you're happy. So would you please just get happy? No. Keep bringing it back, because that's what we do. Whatever in us is unhappy and unsettled and restless, confused, we're going to project it out. It's just what we do, because we think there's an inner and an outer. And there is an inner and outer. Let's not pretend I'm not me and you're not you. But if I don't know that you're a Buddha and I'm a Buddha and we've been doing this across time and space forever, and you're helping me and I'm helping you, and even sitting in this little room or in your homes, this matters. Because there is time and space and there is no time and space. There are boundaries and it's boundless. So we fall down by the ground and get up by the ground. I love that phrase. Sometimes it's also fall down by the ground and get up by the sky. Wide open. It's a moment or a glimpse. Or these just aren't words, but it's, oh. The fragrance of freedom. It's so close, there's no separation. It's so sweet. Oh, that's one of the things they did in that exhibit, is when everything is bursting and flowers are bursting, there was also really beautiful fragrance. So there was all the different senses, which is of course happening all the time. Our eyes get softer and more open. Go back in our heads, stop trying so hard out there. Just find some place to rest. Open, soft, Dharma eye. Our ears. Suzuki Roshi said, all I really want is for my students to be able to hear a bird song. I think that all the time. Let a bird song just break your heart, pierce your heart open. And can you hear Marilyn? Is that a little bit more? Is that better? Okay, good. Yeah, that's good. You can do that. Body. Zazen body, strong, upright. Take care of your own body. Take care of your own cushion. Take care of your own space. But we more and more know and can feel this is one body. We're moving together. That's why the forms are so beautiful. And you can feel it on Zoom. We've been feeling it for the last 2 years. How could everybody be in a separate little box, but there's something bigger than the sum of the parts? Zazen body knows that. But that's just the truth that it always has been. And then more and more, you can fall down and stand up and take responsibility for this life because it's all lives. Doesn't mean don't do anything. But an appropriate response comes from someplace different than, would you please stop that, or I'm really uncomfortable, or whatever. The fear body, it's more and more a love and kindness body. And that's the precepts. Things as it is. Yes, I will. A gentle and knowing heart. A courageous heart. Dharma heart. We take our place with and for all beings. The Bodhisattva precepts are completely impossible. You will fail. Do it well. Use it. Let it soften you. Get wiser. Get clearer. This isn't about setting yourself up against yourself. It's about finally giving yourself some place to rest. I don't know how to do this, but I know this is the only way to live. And we'll help each other. I'm looking out at the people who are going to take their vows today. We'll help you. And you're helping us by doing exactly what you're doing. And when you take your vows, it's because I'm married. When I go to a wedding ceremony, it's like I take my vows again. I'll go home and I want to be nicer to my partner. It's like, oh yeah. So when you take your vows, we're all the people who have their little rakusus on. You're going to help us. It's like, oh yeah. And whether you have a rakusu on or not, it doesn't matter. It's like, oh yeah. Yes, I will. Yes, I will. Suzuki Roshi says, I know I say this a lot, but these things help me, is if you think you can't do this, that's arrogance. Or if you think you got it, that's arrogance. He just says, just every moment, that's all. Just each moment. Yes, I will. Yes, I will. That's things as it is. Courageous and gentle heart, vast mind. So a rakusu is a little miniature Buddha's robe. This is a big one. I remember you cut it all apart. You take a piece of fabric, you cut it all apart, sort of like your life. It comes apart. Maybe at some point you thought you had it all together. Maybe for a moment or two. And then you sew it back together again by plunging into Buddha. You say Namu Ke Butsu. I take refuge in Buddha. I take refuge in Buddha. You sew your life back together with a vow. We sew our broken and divided hearts together, ours and the world, into a whole. And it's based on taking refuge in a world bigger than our small, fearful self. This is from, I think this is from Katagiri Roshi, his description of the refuges. I think it's really beautiful, the triple treasure. I take refuge in Buddha. Is taking refuge in the universe. The earth, the clouds and lakes, the sun, the moon, the stars, the spiders, the rocks, the cosmos, each thing. I take refuge in Buddha. I'm in. We had a wolf spider come up the drain. Wolf spiders are amazing. They're big, they're big. I think they're pretty harmless. I was glad I knew where it was and it was over there. But we let it out. The whole universe, everything. If you come up against something and you think not this, stay there. With curiosity and kindness and gentleness, because something is in front of us teaching us, asking us, what about me? And then you think, would you please stop that? Would you just go away? I can do this, but I can't do that. But that's why we sit. It's stronger and clearer together. Touch the earth, just affirm. And things that were closed just open in little ways, and some things stay closed, but that's good too, because then you just have to keep meeting yourself in the world. It won't leave you alone, this universe, because it's alive. Dharma. I take refuge in the teachings of the universe. Look and listen and look again and again, and let it break your heart and soften and open your heart. There is no end to it. It sounds like something I would say. Maybe I made that up. Maybe that wasn't Katagiri. Who knows what anybody said. It's really fun when you start reading what somebody else says and you can imagine that you said it too. It's like, oh, maybe there's 100 million different voices and we're all saying the same thing. Wake up. Wake up. Freedom. Freedom is awakening. Awakening is freedom. Wake up. Yes, I will. Yes, I will. Oh, yes, I will. Sangha. I take refuge with the people who take the teachings of the universe to heart. Dharma heart. The teachings of the universe is everyone's one heart. Vowing is being conscious of that. And then we just keep helping each other. One heart, one Sangha. And we have the good graces and gift to be working it out with this inner Sangha inside ourselves and all the chattering that goes on, and with other people in the Sangha too. Sometimes it's easy, sometimes it's not. Not to mention family and friends. You couldn't ask for better teachers. You couldn't ask for more. Because it's all just exactly what we need. And good heavens, what incredible grace we have. And we have a home and shelter, more or less our health. So let's keep waking up. So the Jukai ceremony that we're going to do, 2:30, 3 o'clock. 3 o'clock. The people who are going to be receiving the precepts enter timeless time and space with all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas and offer themselves freely, their whole bodies, to Buddha, to the universe, to all beings. So we will make prostrations, bow, bow, just bow. And offer incense to the whole world. If you think this isn't the whole world, keep looking. Waking up to become the Buddhas that you already are. And the Bodhisattva precepts are the way of living passed to us from the ancestors. Past, present, and future. It's the way. And then we'll go to the ordination table. Some people at Everyday Zen have been studying the Platform Sutra. The Platform Sutra is the ordination's platform. So we're going to enact this ordination platform, vowing, living. And as our 4 ordinees approach the table, more bows. And then I get to do what I love to do, because it feels so real to me, is invoke all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas into this very room. You call out to them, because you know you can't do it by yourself. And I actually always have the physical experience that they show up, that this isn't just like, yeah, and then you come, and then you come, would you please come? And no, I just think whatever Buddhas and Bodhisattvas are, whatever you want to believe or not believe, but everybody across time and space gets so happy. It's like, hey, come on, let's go down and help. That's what happened at Vulture Peak with the Buddha. Is Buddha would be there and the word would get out. But Buddha's going to speak the truth. And then on this little piece of rock, they'd talk about hundreds of thousands of beings that would show up. Because they wanted to hear it. They want to know it. They want to celebrate it with us. So if you're worried you can't do this, don't worry. They got your back. They'll be here, I promise. Maitreya, the Buddha of friendliness, which is the future Buddha. I love that. That the future Buddha is the Buddha of friendliness. It's like, get over your big high ideas about things. That's what we're doing here. Just learn friendliness. Compassion, cooperation among all the creatures. The Lotus Sutra, which was one of Dogen's favorite, the Lotus Sutra is one of my favorites. That just, till then they just thought there was one Buddha and you followed the one Buddha and then you turned into a Buddha and you kind of got out of this suffering life. And the Lotus Sutra said, no, 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 no. There are Buddhas across space and time, and you're a Buddha, and everybody is going to wake up to be a Buddha. And this whole thing is so much bigger than you can even begin to imagine. The Prajnaparamita, emptiness, boundlessness, freedom. And they're all mirrors of qualities inside ourselves, not inside ourselves, of who we are. And then we do a ritual of purification, which is, you've heard me say this before, I love this. It's a confession. I think it's a confession. You finally say, I'm a human being. I came to this path because I didn't know how to be here. There wasn't anybody around that I trusted to teach me how to be a human being. I knew they were all trying, my mother, my father, people in my church. I mean, it's not like, but it's how to just fit in this little human life without being small or making it small. Who knew that in the end, it's just you being you? I'm a human being. I had no idea. I mean, I still don't, but I have a little bit more. I'm just in a human body. Sickness, aging, death, joy, love, birth. It's a perfect package. You couldn't ask for a more perfect package to wake up in. All my ancient twisted karma from beginningless greed, hate, and delusion. Yep. If you think you're going to get over it, you're pretty deluded. And sooner or later, you're going to fall down and hit your nose and go, ouch. And then stand up and say, all my ancient twisted karma, I now fully avow. The person who was hit in the face said the thing that made her most happy is that she didn't feel any aversion towards the person who'd done it to her. I mean, she didn't have the feeling of, you did something to me. She still didn't know what to do or how to respond, but there wasn't that automatic response of, you know, what can come up when you feel like something's coming at you. It's practice. And then we'll do wisdom water. I love the wisdom part of it. Is you take water And then there's these magic mantras that you do. I love that Buddhism, mostly, Zen just says, just do zazen and be a good person and follow the precepts. But there is a whole kind of inner level of Zen that has all this tantric stuff that you don't talk about much because you can get pretty trippy about tantric stuff, right? It's like magic. But there is. You're going to see it. You're going to take this little cup of water and do a few little things, and it's going to turn into wisdom water. Really. Really. It's kind of a little bit, I think lots of traditions like Christianity and Judaism, and it's why I don't understand Judaism, but Christianity, because is like baptism. You go into the water. You go into the water and you come out new. It's transformation practice. And then you're ready to take the precepts. You are a child of the Buddha and you have been completely cleared of all your ancient twisted karma. Now, I think that's remarkable. Talk about the power of ritual. You're as fresh and newborn as a baby. You're freed. And then, of course, there's the next moment and the next moment. But that's what happens. And you enter, in taking the precepts, you enter the blood vein, the bloodline of, I keep wanting to look at you guys on the screen so you know I'm talking to you too. The blood vein of the Buddha's lineage papers used to be all men, the patriarchs. Now there's a parallel lineage paper of the women. So one heart finally. But I always have this feeling, as there's this little red line, and you've heard me say this, from Buddha all the way down, and then Dogen, and all the way down to the ancestors, and then Suzuki Roshi, and Mel Weissman, and Norman Fisher, and me, and then the people who are taking the vows. Your name is on the paper. You become part of the official lineage. There's stamps. I love doing the papers. You get to do all these stamps. It's really fun. You'll see. You got plenty of stamps. And then it goes back up to Buddha, because literally what happens is what was always there is all these little Buddhas and vows and love and everything that's in our cells and our DNA, and is it gets activated or certified or something. Something happens in your DNA. I really do believe this is cellular. Something happens. And more, all you want is to just be a kind, awake human being. Freedom for everybody. And it looks like shelter and food and free. I mean, all the precepts about how to live. That's what it looks like for me and for you and for everybody out there that we think is other. And there's something fundamental, something frees us, opens from the inside out and the outside in. It's the thing about I don't know if this is true, but I read it once, and at the time I thought it was true, but somebody can tell me later if it's not, is that when a chick is on the inside and it's time to hatch, is it starts pecking from the inside and the mother hears it and starts pecking from the outside, or maybe the mother starts pecking from the outside because it hears something quickening inside, and so there's this profound meeting that it's completely mutual and interdependent. That's what's happening all the time. All the time. That's what brought our courageous bodhisattvas here today to say, yes, I will. Something's been pecking from the inside and from the outside. Like, wake up, wake up. Okay, okay. So when you take the precepts, you're a new person. You get a new name, new clothes, you're remade. Our vow is freedom. May all beings be free, and we devote our lives to this. Continuous practice. Dogen says there's no enlightenment out there, just continuous practice, moment after moment. So today, sitting at home, sitting here, this is it. You may have brought some pain or sorrow or question or discomfort may arise, your knee may hurt, the temperature may be hot or cold, you may be hungry, you may get bored. Well, okay, human beings. This is it. For one human being, Buddha, you, Shakyamuni Buddha, Buddhas across time and space, just sat down on the earth and touched the earth and just affirmed, living with and for all beings. This is it. I'm here for you guys. You guys are here for me. The spiders, the frogs, the bird song, the confusion. Bodhisattva vows. The way I love saying them is it's not beings are numberless, I vow to save them. Beings are numberless, I vow to save them and to be saved by them. I vow to be right in the center of this universe world, moment after moment, and to act and to be acted upon in mutual song of freedom and awakening. Delusions are inexhaustible. I vow to end them. Well, I vow to end them. I vow to wake up, and there's no ending them. And I vow to end, and to be ended by them. It's like bow to your delusions, for goodness sakes. Stop trying to get rid of them. They'll just get bigger and come back harder, in case you hadn't noticed. Yeah, well, you think, okay, you tell me not to do something, I don't know what you do, but I just get more obstinate. Bow to them. Say, oh, thank you, you're here to teach me. Whew. Well, that was hard, but hey, sometimes it's hard for a long time before you can finally bow to something and say thank you. Dharma gates are boundless, I vow to enter them. Life is boundless. I vow to enter and be entered. Arrow points meet. Zazen, you find the courage and the strength, the uprightness, strong ground, upright spine, connected to the heavens. What an amazing, I mean, whether you're laying down or in a chair or where it's an inner feeling, is it's so strong and upright and completely open and porous. It really is an amazing practice. I was just, because I was telling you about being at the Asian Art Museum, and after you go to the exhibit, then you go up to the other floors. I always go to the third floor, because there's all these really, really beautiful ancient Buddhas, and many of them I realized I've had the privilege of traveling in so many countries, and actually seeing these beings in the country of their origin. They all have the same feeling. It's just here. Little smile. Upright, present. Buddha's way is unsurpassable. I vow to embody it, to live it, to be it. You don't have to call it Buddha. I don't care what you call it. I mean, Buddha thinks it's nice, but you can call it anything you want. Just keep asking. Just keep looking. Don't turn away. What is it? This is it. Things as it is. Yes, I will. Gentle, shining, courageous, full-hearted. So all your plans and worries, just keep coming back today. Really devote yourself today. May all beings be free, and I'll start right here. I'll start in this moment over and over again, forever. We'll strengthen our muscle of just come back. Okay, that's all. We got our operating instructions.